All right, folks, here we are at it again. This video is all about the sphere. The sphere's not a very complicated beast, so this should be fairly simple and straightforward. I think about a sphere like a basketball or a tennis ball, a cross ball, soccer ball. Any of those would be good descriptions of the sphere. So it's a round ball. The formula that you're going to use to find the volume of a sphere is 4/3 times pi times the radius raised to the third power. And just be careful here because we've done a lot of squaring of the radius in this unit, but for the sphere, we're going to use that exponent of 3. So you know me, I'm a terrible artist, have a terrible time drawing these things. I'm not even going to try to draw a sphere. I'm going to say, think about, for an example of that sphere, a round ball. All right, so now that we know what a sphere is and we know the formula that we're going to use, let's get down to business so that we can get our work done. All right, I'm going to say in example 1, we have a sphere whose diameter is 12 inches. And like we've done for almost every single problem in this unit, we're going to find the volume. So I'm going to go ahead and start out by writing down that formula just like I've always done. And in that formula, I'm going to leave the 4/3 alone. I'm going to leave the pi alone. But in for r, I'm going to replace that with the radius of my sphere. If my diameter, remember, is 12 inches, that means the radius must be half of that, or 6 inches. And because we're back and working with these problems that have pi's in them, we might be asked to express our answer in one of two different ways. They might ask us to express our answer in terms of pi. And if they ask us to express our answer in terms of pi, remember that when we get the calculator out, we are going to enter everything into the calculator except for the pi. So if this question asked me to express my answer in terms of pi, I would get my calculator out, and in my calculator I would multiply 4/3 times 6 raised to the third power. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So I've got the fraction 4/3 times, and I want to use 6 raised to the third power. So I've got the 6, and to raise something to the third power, oops, I'm a little bit out of sight on my screen here. You want to go all the way to the left-hand side. Right about in the middle of your calculator, you'll find that caret button. When I hit that caret button, it lets me enter an exponent. And remember that the exponent that you want to use in this circumstance is 3. So 288. And keep in mind that I have not multiplied by the pi yet. And since I haven't multiplied through by the pi yet, my answer is going to be 288 times pi cubic inches. And that's if they ask you to leave your answer in terms of pi. Remember, if they ask you to leave your answer in terms of pi, that means that you'll see a pi in your answer. Now, if, on the other hand, they ask you to round your answer to the nearest tenth, well, in that case, I'm going to go back to my calculator. And this time I want to multiply 288 times pi, using that pi button on my calculator. And when I round that answer to the nearest tenth, it looks to be about 904 0.8. And because I've already multiplied through by the pi, this one does not have a pi in it. So just be aware, you have to be a very good, careful reader and read the instructions carefully. If they ask to leave your answer in terms of pi, make sure your answer has that pi in it. If they ask for you to round your answer, then you're going to plug pi into the calculator and you're going to round. All right, that was fun. Let's take a look at one more. In this one, we're going to look at an example of a sphere with a diameter of 24 inches. And they want us to find the volume. So again, I'm going to start with that formula. Volume is equal to 4/3 times pi times the radius raised to the third power. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to substitute in the radius. In this case, if my diameter is 24, that means my radius must be half of that, or 12. So the 4/3 stays the same, the pi stays the same, but the r to the third becomes 12 to the third. And at this point, depending upon how the question is asked, that's going to determine what I put into my calculator. So if they ask for the answer in terms of pi, then I'm going to put everything except for the pi into my calculator. So into my calculator, I'm going to type 4/3 times 12 to the third power. And again, I'm going to find that third power by looking for the caret key over on the left-hand side of my calculator, and that'll allow me to enter in that exponent. So 2,304 times pi cubic inches. And again, that's in terms of pi. But if they ask me to say round my answer to the nearest cubic inch, then I'm going to go back to my calculator and I'm going to type in 2,304 times pi. And when I round that to the nearest cubic inch, I end up with 7,238 cubic inches. So I think it's important to recognize that both of these are the answer. They're just two different ways of expressing that same answer, depending on how the question is asked and what you're asked to do in the problem. All right, great job, folks. We have some CASEL learning problems that go along with this video on the sphere. So your CASEL questions are going to come from assignment 10.9, which is called the sphere. And if you have questions, we'd love to have you email us with those questions. And we'd love even more if you checked into office hours, which you can find on the Teams app on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 to 11 in the morning. As always, we are missing you, and we hope that as you're watching this, your family is safe, your family is healthy, and that you're continuing to practice your social distancing so that you can stay that way. Miss you guys.